Hi guys, Rhonda without an H here with you. Okay, so this is the second video in my taking you with me on my journaling, making a small 4x6 journal. And from start to finish, the first video, I talked about it a little bit. I showed you how I gutted mine. I showed you how I prepared some of the pages so that I could use those, and if I wanted I could use 2-page spreads without having to tape them together. Alright, so this video is about gathering your papers together, and I'm going to show you what I think I'm going to use. I may switch it just a little bit, but I like what I've got so far, and I'm going to show you the books and things that I have pulled papers from. Now I realize that many of you don't have the same types of books or ephemera that I have, and some of my favorites I am in the process of scanning so that they'll be available in my Etsy store if you want to use some of the same types of images that I've got. So, gathering your papers, that's where we're at now. And people have different thoughts about how many signatures to put in a book and how many pages you want to put in a signature, etc., etc. And I don't really have a hard and fast rule on any of that. I just kind of go with how I feel. One of the things that I'm really loving about doing a small journal is that I can put some of my smaller bits and pieces, and I have some small books that I can add. So, okay, so for the cover of my 3 signature journal book, let me show you, grab those right here. I've got most of them pulled, I think, and there again, I had done this before I decided to bring you on this journey, so we're kind of catching up. So I'm giving you a chance to catch up. I've waited, it's been hard. It's like, no, don't do anything. Let your friends catch up and then progress. All right. So I have these 3 signatures, and I have created the first, well, let me get these out of my way. There's no perfect way. Anyway, I've created the first 3 signature covers, and I want to tell you just a little bit about that. Yeah, trying to think of which is the best thing, to gather our papers or to tell you about this. I'll talk about this just a little bit at the end. All right, so gathering your papers. Number 1, I'm going to use some of the pages that came from my book. It makes sense. And whatever size book you're working on, they're going to be the same size. They're going to be the correct size. And if you take them out the way I showed you, you'll be able to have full book pages, which will be nice. Now, let me show you a little something. For instance, on some of those book pages that don't rip out, in the very beginning, remember me telling you about how there are some pages that are glued together, and so you can't just cut the strings and pull them out. They're still there, and you want to use them, and the covers, things like this, are there. So what I did was I just very carefully ripped it out, but then that gave me 1 page and 1 page. And so what I did was I put washi tape to bring them together. And actually, let me show you that particular one. If I can find it here real quickly. I will. Alrighty. Okay. So, as I was showing you how to take these out, remember, and then some of these were stuck in. So I'm pulling these out. Ooh, actually that one lifted. Wow, that's nice. In the one that I did, this didn't lift. And so I ended up with one. Here's one. Here's a page I like. But that's not a 2-page, that's just one. So I've got that. And let's see. Let me find another one here that's glued in. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take those two. Move this aside. Ooh, did you hear that? We may have some thunder and lightning going on outside there. We'll see. Okay. So what I want to do is to take one of my good pages that are together, because this will show me the exact width that the 2 pages together need to be. So I'm going to set these so I will have that same effect. And let me see, let me pick here, some washi tape. Well, maybe the blue would be okay. All right. So I am going to just kind of glue. I'm taping, aren't I? This is not gluing, Rhonda. And I will. I know most of you use scissors. I use a rotary cutter. It's all right. It's totally all right, I'm telling you. Now I'm going to put this page so that I do this in the right way. And I want to check and make sure. Now see, this has got a little clump of glue. And I don't want to have that clump of glue in with my washi tape. It just makes it kind of messy. So now I'm going to line this up here. Can you see that? Okay, that's the very same width as, see how that great, how that goes, how that's great, how that's, I don't know. If I could talk, I would tell you about it. So now what I'm going to do is on the front side, and this is nice because this gives me a line that I can line it up with, and this one I will just trim off. All right, and then I'm going to go with my bone folder, and I'm just going to burnish that on both sides so that it's nice, it's not going to come apart. And then I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to burnish it again. So that's a way that I can use some of those that are glued. That's just another idea for you. Okay, so let's set that aside. I am using a lot of different pages, papers from a lot of different sources. Now this one I can't share with you because that's a digital download that I have. But I love it, but I'm sure you can find things that are similar. I keep looking, and if I come across my own original of something of this nature, I of course will copy that. But I like this. I like to get a variety. Notice how this I've ripped, and this I've just kind of torn and left it. So that's a fun one. This one is a receipt, and as you can see, I've actually also done with distressing. This I've used tea-dye Tim Holtz and gone around the edges with that, and that comes from, I was fortunate enough to get a cash receipt box at some, or book at some garage sale somewhere. Let me pull that out a little bit more. All right. And so I have used some of the pages, and what I did, I'll just show you. It has 2 copies, a yellow copy, and I've used both of these in here, you'll notice. And I just measured, and this is where it's kind of fun. Now I've got this with my width and the height and everything. So this I'm going to fold, and obviously it's too wide, so I'm going to fold a portion of it, and I don't need it to be this high. And if I'm going to rip some off, I'm going to rip this loose part so that I keep all of this cool ephemera here. So this is all I did with that. Let me grab another ruler. All right, so I'm trying to be less like, oh, I don't know what you'd even call it, but okay, so this is approximately where the writing starts. So this would be, I put a nice hard edge, and I just ripped it out. And of course this can be kept for another project. So then I have, and that's what I did here, okay? So it doesn't have to be a perfect size. You can rip it, you can cut it, you can tear it, however you want. And this particular one, you can see how I did that. I folded in. And I don't even remember which way I had it. Probably this way. So that's, you know, coffee dye, tea dye it. Take these apart. You've got 2 pages. Or you can keep it together however you want to do it. So that's, so look for old receipt books, old anything really, a foreign language, something that, you know, whether you, in the US, for me, a foreign language would be French, Chinese, anywhere out of my country, Spanish, and for someone in Mexico, English could be a foreign language, or the, you know, the same. So whatever country or whatever language you don't speak, that can be a foreign language. Those books are fun to use, and I do use those. Okay, so there's that. This is an old ledger paper that let me find it. And sometimes you can come across these cool old ledgers, and when I do, I buy them. I mean, I don't have to have a use for it immediately. I buy it. Although I'm pretty, you know, I won't pay. Well, you know, anyway, I try to buy. There are some that I can't get, but they want too much money for, and I have to let those go. Okay, so on these really old ledgers, I have found that when I coffee dye it, these lines have a tendency to disappear. And this one, I think this was probably an end piece. It's the same thickness, but I think this was, I don't know though, that's got the number on it. Just like we've got a number here, so maybe not. These make great journaling spots. Whether the lines run and come together, it doesn't matter. Whether you coffee dye it, whether you leave it plain, however you like to do it, and either cut or tear to a particular size. And there again, where this is wider than what I need, I will fold. Like here, I'm folding it over this way. And so I would take this again and I would rip it off the right width. And depending on how I want it, maybe I want this a little bit shorter, because I also like to put pages in that are different sizes, not all the very same size. That makes it more interesting and it just makes it fun. So ledger paper, all kinds of ledger paper. Let me show you some other. Here's an old-fashioned notebook. It's wide rule, and as a general thing, I don't, when I'm journaling, I prefer the narrow rule. But I love this because, see this had the old spiral bound, and I took the spiral out. I unwound all of it, and then it had that gorgeous creamy brown, brownish red hardcover that's kind of slick on it. Anyway, I've used that in a project, but this is all I have left of that one. But I use this, and as you can see, this has already been aged. I can use it plain, or I can coffee or tea dye this. Now this one too is not the right size, as I'm looking here again using my template, I guess, if you will. So it's a little bit bigger. I love this, so I want to keep that. But it's not too much smaller, so that makes sense that I would just line it up. And this one, I might actually fold up like this and make a pocket. So keep that in mind. Don't discount things for, that you don't think they'll work. Keep an open mind. All right, so there's that. Here, this is just a part of a map, an old vintage map book that I found. You can go to yard sales, you can go to thrift stores. Oftentimes you can get many things, even libraries that they're going out, discontinuing. And so I pick up any of those that I can. So this is how this one came. And what I did was I tore a page out that I wanted to use. Look how this is. It's so old. Anyway, this was, I think, from a book sale at the library, 1941. And I folded it in half. And so I'm using half of it in my journal. And see the ripped part as I'm ripping it out of the book? I like that. So we're going to keep that. All right. And here, coffee dyed some of the pages that are in the book itself. And this is music that I have strengthened this. Sometimes they rip a little bit, or they just feel, if they don't feel sturdy in the center, you can always strengthen them with fabric or with washi tape. or even masking tape if you like. And then here's an example of the foreign language. I don't know if this is Chinese. I think this might be Chinese, Japanese. And I don't want to offend anybody at all. I love the language. The characters, I think they're amazing. I don't know what it says, but it looks so wonderful that I want to include that. And so that's been coffee dyed. Here's something else, just to add a little bit of color. A whole different, this is a shiny page, but it's nice and sturdy. And it's from an old gardening book that I picked up at a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. See this? You can see how old, and I just took it apart so that I have all of the papers in there, and I just picked a paper and folded it over to include in my journals. And here's some more. Here's another page that I love that I'm going to use. Now see this? You see the hole there? That's going to need to be reinforced with some washi tape or some other decorative something. So I will definitely do that. Not right now, but that's an indication. You want it to be sturdy in the center because that's where you're going to bind it. And it's important you take all the time and effort that you're taking to make these beautiful works of art. You want to make sure they're going to last. All right, so remember this with this? Yeah. So that's another page. So you've got lots of writing, lots of spaces that I can journal on. Okay, here's another fun. I picked up someplace, The Antics of Andrew. It's a play. It's a play. Look at those. Isn't that fabulous? I just thought, and I used to actually, when I was in high school, I won Best Actress 2 years in a row. Crazy to think about now. So I took some pages, and they are, we'll get this one here. They are taller and they're shorter, but I love it. This makes a great small page to put in for something fun. Okay, another tax record ledger. This is a little different than the writing ledger, that page that I showed you. Now this, not this particular one, but something very similar to this. I was able to purchase some amazing ledgers. And this is one of them. And seriously, you guys, they are, I would say they're probably about a 16-inch square, which for paper in a book, and it's not that thick. It's only about an inch thick, or maybe even less. But it's heavy because it's got those old. Anyway, this was land tax records from, I believe it's somewhere in the state of Michigan. And I am scanning. I will have some of these in my Etsy store if you want something that's very similar to this type of paper. But it's just, it's just cool. It's just cool. Tell me that's not fabulous. It's fabulous. So I have to use some of that. I have small dictionaries. So here I am, and I've used the music tape again here to strengthen this in the center again. And this is a great size. So we're using some of that. I was able to come across one of these old statement books. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? I thought it was right here. I may be mistaken. All right. It's hiding. Anyway, it's just a small little statement book. These are old-fashioned, and I got a little pad of it. I don't know, it's something like 50 cents or something like that. So I decided that would be a fun thing to use. And then music, love to have music pages. And here I did the washi tape with the music again, because this is older. It's heavy paper, but where it bends, I don't want it to eventually try to crack and break, and so I have secured on both sides. And here is another small little ledger book. I took the book apart carefully so I could have these amazing little punched holes. And I haven't, I've gone around it, but I haven't coffee dyed or anything, and I may. Some of them I coffee dyed, some of them I had, some of them, Now this is a part of this. I mean, this, I ripped that, like I said, it was huge, and I ripped it into several pieces, and I just ripped it. Pinking shears or a thing like this also gives you a fun edge, or you can have your decorative scissors that give you an edge as well. So there's another page, and this is a little book of maps. I came across just a cool little book, and I've used, you can see, I've used most of the maps in here. There's still a few, but at least half of the book is, but even this is cool. So those would make great pages too. And a record that's been coffee dyed, and I've ripped around, just ripped it to size. And here is a German index paper. So let's see, let me show you some of the other things that I was thinking of using, and we'll see. Greg typing. Isn't this cool? Ooh! I haven't had a chance to scan any of this in, but I thought this would make fabulous journals. So there's that. You already saw this. You already saw that. Let's see. I picked this up the other day at a thrift store. I paid $1. I paid $1 for it, so it's got the jacket. And this is Hello, Richard Dixon. It was his book at one time before he got rid of it, and I'm assuming this is Spanish. Novelas. If someone knows what that is, that would be great. Put it in. I hope it's a good book. I hope it's not bad. I would be embarrassed if it said bad things, but see, this would be, I absolutely would love using these pages. And look at this. They're absolutely naturally edged, or aged, not edged. Well, they're edged with aging. Isn't that great? So there's another one. Here's one that I'm definitely using in these signatures. And I did make some copies. Look at this. Greg shorthand. Is this, I will have fun putting those in. And this is the book that I got where the page that I already showed you came from. And it's got, I mean, I have no idea what it says. Oh, that's even upside down, isn't it? All right, that's upside down. Let's turn it this way. Wow, really? I don't know. Well, that's okay. Well, the pages, okay. But it's fun. I have no idea. But that's another element. So, as you can see, there is no limit to what you can use to create pages. You can here, this is, I found it. This is that statement book. You know, and there's no carbon copy or anything. I know there probably used to be. They used to have them where you had a hard thing or like a cardboard sheet, and then you had a carbon copy, and then what you could do is you'd slip it in between and write it, and then you'd have a copy of it. Wow, those were the days, huh? Here's some more paper that I found that's really cool, a graph paper. This is folded in half. This is amazing. Just look for all kinds of things. It can be different, like this is just a really small ledger book. But these pages I love. These will make fabulous pages. And this, actually that's already, that's one of my scanned, I believe I already have this, that I did scan some of the pages from one of my ledger books and put it in my Etsy store. Anyway, that's a copy. So I've got lots of writing on that. I want to show you, okay, so I've got all of these fabulous. Okay. I did promise you that I would talk to you a little bit about this. Anyway, these are just some of the other things that I'm going to definitely put in. And this came from the play. That's just cool. I mean, I haven't done anything to it, and wow, it's going to be great. Okay. How to decorate your signature how to decorate the cover of your signature. What I did with mine, I used paper napkins and I used Mod Podge. You can use whatever you want. If you want to have this same type of a look, I love the see-through. I wanted to have that see-through feel. But because this is it's thin, it's not super thin, but it's not heavy either. And because it's the first page, so it's gonna see more wear and tear than any of the others, I put another paper, and this particular one, this is stationery that I picked up in a used store. It came, you know, in a pad, something like this. And I don't know if you can you see the little lines? It's like white on white kind of. It's very cool. And it's very see-through, as you can see as well. So what I did was put the two together. I backed this be the same effect if I put some paint or some gesso. This way I can still see my background, but I can write beautifully. Okay, so that's what I did. And I also, as you can tell here, because this was one of those pages that needed reinforcing, and so I put some washi tape, and then I covered it with this, and I used my trusty glue stick to just put it down on the edges, and then I stitched all the way around. Now obviously, if you're not using a glue stick, then you would do it differently. You would make sure that you glue it really well. So that's what I did for the cover. How many? You just kind of have to play with it. I'm not sure if I will keep everything that I've shown you. I may add a few other things. I may subtract some of the things I have here. I also want to put in some of this. This is a copy. I have the original diaries, and the 1940s, 1935 to 1940 something. Oh, I can't remember. I have to look it up. Anyway, I have this man's, he's a lumberjack. He was a lumberjack. Couldn't find any of his family. And his diaries were just, in a junk place, just thrown in. I mean, they weren't even in order. I kind of had to dig and all kinds of grungy stuff when I uncovered them, and I'm loving them. So I wanted to make copies, and so that's what I have done, and I just absolutely adore these. So they will be part of the ephemera that I'm working on right now, that will be in my shop. This, I love this. That's going to be in there. Some of the shorthand. I also came across a sales receipt book from Crichton's Clothiers since 1890 from Pullman, Washington, which is where I lived. And here's the copies. So these are fabulous. Anyway, and these little dividend coupons that I just picked up when I was out junking with my son and daughter-in-law, and so I had to do some copies of those. And here we've got a card that has these buttons on it. I have this card. I don't want to use the buttons though, because they're just like very cool. There were a couple of other things that I wanted to show you ephemera-wise, and then I'll quit. Is this the most adorable? Look at this. Sweet image. New Home Sewing Machine Company, Orange, Massachusetts. That's hard to say. Empire Sewing Machine Company, Personal Planner. And then the last thing is, and I found these just last Saturday. I paid $1 a piece for these checks. So I spent $4, and these are also, I have scanned these, so these will be there. This is 1916, 1917, 1918, 1921. And I have 2 of these with different paper. Okay. Well, okay. I think that's it for this one. Gather your papers. Start. You can do your one or all three at the same time, or however many signatures you do. You can do it at your own pace. I will have my 3 signatures prepared so that I can just kind of move forward. Here's another napkin that I did. This is washi tape again. This is my middle signature. And this one, I put some vellum paper. You can see through it, but I still would be able to write really well on that. And this is my last signature. I haven't done anything here yet, but I will. I think. I think. And this one was made with ends that are really sturdy, and so I didn't need to sew another piece of paper in there, and I didn't have anything that I wanted to cover up because it's, you know, it's plain. So I just left that one as is. All right, guys, I hope that you have found an idea or two that you can use and gather your stuff. So next video will be, I think I'm just going to start decorating some of the pages. Yeah, okay. All right. Until next time, have a fabulous day. Bye now.